Welcome back. Today we are talking about exercising for corporations with Rob Burton. Rob, you gave us some great steps there, one to five. Can you give us a kind of an overview summary of how you can kind of bring this together?
Yeah, I think the 5 steps to creating, delivering, and evaluating tabletop exercises actually can be used for any type of exercise. But the core principles are that pre-exercise piece, so the objectives up front. Why are we doing this? The second part to that, of course, is making sure that we have a good scenario. It's a storyline, remember, that we spoke about to make it believable and make that engagement really shine. And then we have those final logistics, the discipline, making sure that audio visuals are working, we're set up from a tech standpoint and we've got the donuts. The delivery, making sure you've got a leader that announces, the exercise is important, the process that you're going to follow in the exercise, splitting teams up, bringing them back together. So that's really important. And then the debrief at the end. And then the post-exercise activity piece as well, putting the report together, which again, actually one point I didn't mention in that last segment, I know we were coming towards the end of it, is the remediation plan after the report. So the report's been put together, right? Now we have to fix, some of the issues in our plans, our policies, procedures, capabilities, whatever it might be. So that's the remediation planning at the very end, which is part of step 5.
Just out of curiosity, when you go through that whole cycle, is it a good idea to retest the same thing or plan a new test, new exercise, building upon that?
Yeah, I would get creative and integrate, some of those, higher priority ticket items that, those more, risk centric elements into your next exercise. It can get stale if you run through the same scenario every time. And again, not every item that you've picked up in the exercise in terms of those gaps that you've found, the observations, may need actually, testing in another exercise. It may be a simple procedural change, maybe a word that's different, maybe in your plan versus something else. So yeah, I would just make sure you don't go crazy with it, because then it becomes about this laundry list, right? And so naturally, as you go through it, and again, using activation as an example, you can practice activation without doing an exercise, right? So you can do that, and you should be doing that on a regular basis. So, just as an example, you can pull that one thing out and say, okay, we're going to activate the team every quarter, and that will be our practice of the new process.
And the remediation plan that you mentioned, that should contain what the issue was, or the problem encountered. Is there anything else that should be assigned to that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So who's responsible for making that change, right? And what is that change? And then a date. When do we expect that change to be made? And it's really a benefit versus effort matrix. How much time do we have to put into it? And is there a big benefit from us doing that? Well, if it's low in terms of our effort, but it's a high benefit, then we're just going to get it done, right? And we're going to make sure that that's done. So we have a nice little template that we send along with our reports and benefit, effort matrix remediation plan, where we put all those issues, and it's a good session to go through with the team. Okay, what do we think this issue? Where does it stand on the chart? And we can walk through and distribute the tasks. Have a due date, and then have a status column at the end.
Oh, okay. So let's move to the next part I'm really interested to hear. And this is some stories, and some good and bad, and maybe some ugly there. Stories, experiences that you've been through.
Yeah, well, I wish we had more time, because this is we could spend the whole 45 minutes on this. So exercises can go wrong. So I'll touch on one where two stories actually. One which happens unfortunately on a somewhat regular basis. This was a couple of years ago. There's one particular story I talk about it in some training that we do, and it was in Indiana, where the local police had come in to do an exercise within a school, and they came in, and they had not told the teachers. And I'm not sure why they did this anyway, but they used rubber bullets, and they actually used them on the teachers. Oh yeah, there's a whole lawsuit afterwards, and it was just became a
Wow.
disaster. Yeah, they simulated executing one of the teachers, and again, I'm reading this from an article, a news article. So, it didn't go very well. So, if you're going to plan an exercise, then just ask yourself what could go wrong, and using rubber bullets. We used to use rubber bullets in training exercises in the military, and it was well controlled then. So anyway, yeah. So that obviously that's the ugly side of it, right? One personal experience, it's more of there's a couple, but I'm going to touch on one just with the interest of time. We ran an exercise overnight for an LNG client of ours, and so it was a security exercise. And we were going through the night, and it was, I forget the specifics around the scenario in terms of what it was, but essentially they had a security vendor that would visit not their complex, but the complex next door every 2 hours, just to do a security check on this, this location next door. And it wasn't part of the exercise, but this individual would check in every 2 hours with our security to let them know that, the security was being tested, that they would be, in that area for the next 5 minutes doing their rounds. Anyway, come to 4 a.m., there was no check-in. And so here we are in the exercise, and they were trying to radio them. And this is, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And all of a sudden we had to put a stop to the exercise, right? Because we have again, it wasn't part of, our team that was being exercised, but there was a person missing. And this individual had not called in, and they were supposed to call in the security, So anyway, we're not sure, but all of a sudden they came back on the radio. I forget exactly, 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes later, whatever it was, and came back on, and we're not sure whether they went and took a little nap or fell asleep or whatever it was, but it put a big wrench in the exercise, because even though we didn't have someone missing from the exercise play standpoint, it was still a serious event, and somebody, needed to be tracked down. So it's just, really interesting. You can plan all day long, I guess, is the story here, right? And something out of your control can come, and again, you just have to be able to manage it. So we put a halt to the exercise and made sure we kind of got a hold of the individual.
Well, believe it or not, we only have 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Do you have any final thoughts, any final comments you'd like to convey to everybody?
Yeah, well, I know we wanted to talk about a good way to end an exercise, because the best one I've seen is an ice cream van showing up in a really hot Central Florida environment at the end of the exercise, and the morale went through the roof because we've been out in the field for many hours. So that was a good way to end one. And then just to wrap up, if you're not doing exercises, then start with crawling and get some knowledge, get some information, and then build up your scenarios, make them realistic, really create those objectives. What do you want to accomplish? And they're fun, make them fun, and people, again, build stories. People love to hear stories, make it relevant to their world, and then they'll get engaged, and it'll be some of the best training that you've ever done. And I remember an old miner saying to me, been in the industry for 40 something years, came up to me afterwards. It was a simple tabletop, and he said to me, he shook my hand, he said, in the 40 years I've been in the mining industry, in the mining business, that's the best training I've ever had. Yeah. So that was a great feedback from someone who was tough and ready, and seen it all, right, done it all, seen it all, and so yeah. So I guess that would be my closing comments there.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for joining us and talking about exercises. I really appreciate it. And again, you were long overdue to come and talk. So I'm really glad you found the time to come in and share your expertise. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And again, reach out to me anytime, and be happy to chat about anything about exercises.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody
right?
who said that, I get them back.
Yeah.
Rob, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And everybody watching and listening, stay prepared, everybody.
Thank you.
If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. but leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.